Good afternoon from Houston, Texas. Today's topic is USCIS processing cases faster? And the answer is yes. But unfortunately, it's not for everyone. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail and happy to answer any questions you have as best as I can in the live platform here. Friends, my name is John Ting, immigration attorney in the United States, helping everyone across the world, helping you solve your immigration problem. Thank you so much for joining. I know some of y'all will be joining soon. So, of course, if you are not familiar with our team at Ting Law Group, you're welcome. We do offer free 15 minutes, but unlike the years past, we don't automatically give it to everyone now. Unfortunately, we just have limited time these days. We have to work on cases as well. So, our CARES team, when you call in, they'll do their best to see if there is a way for us to help you. If there is, then in terms of attorneys, then they'll most likely move you along to schedule you. Now, there are other ways that we can help you without you having to speak with an attorney. And if that is the case, it's usually emailing you a free guide, and it usually has what it does. Each guide or guides has a page or two about common questions. So that at least could save you some time. And of course, if you receive one of those emails and take a look at the free guide, and you're still thinking, I still need to speak with an attorney, then most likely you'll need to schedule a paid consultation. Okay. So just want to be upfront about our process. We try to make it as fast as possible, unlike other law firms where you might get a call back maybe 1 or 2 weeks later. And it's not because they're busy, it's because they don't have a good process. So that's why I want to share with you basically like the 1, 2, 3 steps. Okay. Now, we do on our website have, if you do believe that our team at Ting Law Group is the law firm of choice for you, you can select to request a quote on our form. If you just go to greencardguys.com. Again, we don't want you have to wait. There's an assumption, I think, on both sides that you have to have a consultation before signing or at least reviewing a quote. Okay. So really just because of backlog, USCIS has a backlog, but they're doing better. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we want to prevent a backlog as well. But inherently with more calls, then there's going to be a backlog. So we've created these steps as limited as possible to make it faster for you, friends. Now, here's a positive win, a positive story here I want to share with you. We filed a adjustment of status case based on marriage. That person had entered with a visa and overstayed their visa, got married maybe a couple weeks later or a month later, filed their case in November. And we just last week received approval. That's right, an approval. Now, in some of the cases we received, in several cases actually, we received recently in the past week an email asking for the medical exam. And look, USCIS is not entirely smart. They do have an automated system, which is just surprising in the first place. But it was basically asking for the medical exam, even though, it's like basically a robot. They didn't check, no one checked physically if the person had mailed in a medical exam at all. So I know some clients were kind of freaking out, like, why do I have to pay more? USCIS had an automated system. That's just amazing to begin with. So it's not asking you to literally provide a medical exam, but what we do recommend is that you be ready. If you know you didn't provide that medical exam, you want to go ahead and get that medical exam. Okay. So generally us immigration attorneys, we're also just very wary, skeptical when we receive an email like that. But I checked the email address. It looked legit. It had at uscis.dhs.gov, something like that. And it looked legit. And, just speaking with other colleagues, it's a legitimate request. The only thing is that it does not have a due date because it's not a formal request for evidence. It's more about a courtesy update. Hey, you need to give us this medical exam, which I'm honestly surprised that it's not an official RFE. But what it is that because what I think why I am surprised is because if they don't receive that medical exam, then they can deny you. Okay, that is possible because you do need to provide it. So in the years past, like if your case had been filed more than a year ago, 2 years ago, and it's now finally receiving this type of email, and you're wondering why the heck they couldn't do that before, well, they're getting better. Okay. I know we give them a lot of crap and we still do, but they're getting a little better in terms of that. But you want to go ahead and go to the USCIS.gov website, and they do have, I think, believe under tools and resources, there is a page about the location for medical doctors, essentially. Now, they have that separate page. I don't know. I think it's more so because they want to make sure that people go. I mean, you have to go to a USCIS authorized, they call it Surgeon General, but basically a physician, to get this medical exam. So it's very, very important. If your attorney or if you receive this email, don't wait on it, especially if you did not provide a medical exam. It's on this form called 693, I-693. So you don't want to wait around because it does take, let's say you do go call a clinic and you call the clinic and they're like, yeah, we're backed up, right? So you may need a schedule appointment for the week after. So you don't think that just because you call a clinic or like an attorney that we're like readily available. I mean, I that's our goal actually, at least for our law firm. But yeah, don't assume the medical clinic is going to be available on that same day or the next day. So just plan it. That's why it's important you call as soon as possible, schedule that medical appointment. And what you want to do is go to the USCIS page and go and just print out a copy of the form. I know it sounds ridiculous. The 693 form, it's several pages. Every time our client tells us about the form itself, they've told us that the medical clinic asked them to print it. If you want, go ahead and ask them if you, just in case, because you don't want to go there and they're like, why didn't you bring the form? And you're thinking, what the hell? What the hell? No one told me to print the form. So it's not necessarily like a legal necessity, but I think when it comes to these kind of applications, you want to, at least our team makes it as easy as possible for you to get this done. Okay. We actually download the form and have it part of as our Dropbox folder that we share with you. So it's all there and you don't have to wait. Okay. Now, the other thing you need to keep in mind and why you need, once you receive this courtesy email, you want to do it as soon as possible because it takes about at least a week, maybe 1 or 2 weeks for that clinic to receive, quote unquote, receive or whatever goes on internally to get some, I think lab work essentially, get that results back so that they can finalize your exam, the form. Okay. Now, of course, they can always provide you a copy of it, but if you want a copy for your own records, you need to ask for it. Okay. Because the official records will be in a sealed envelope. You cannot open it. You should not open it because you, number one, you paid money for it. So if it's sealed, which is what you want it to be, then you can send that to USCIS. If for some reason you opened it, it looks like it's been messed with. Like if you've seen, then USCIS is going to reject it. Okay, they're going to ask you to provide for you to provide a new one. So you want to just follow all the rules, all the steps, so that you get your green card sooner than later. Okay. Now, again, this is a totally new situation with USCIS. We've received these courtesy medical emails for cases that were a bit older, and even those that are a bit newer in the sense that we filed in the last 3 months. So, what I credit, you may have seen a prior video I mentioned, at least on TikTok, is that not everyone is going to get their case done this fast. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. Number one, they're not doing this for everyone who's based on marriage. Just because I mentioned marriage adjustment of status case earlier, that does not mean that you will receive this quick of a process. And here's why. Because number one, USCIS officers looking at the case file at a certain point. I can't tell you for sure if it's like early on or later, but for the most part, it's later. Okay. Because I never worked for USCIS, so I don't know that much of a detail. Okay. Just being transparent. But think about this. They're not going to send a request for medical that quickly by automated email, most likely if you have limited marriage evidence. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about, some people call in and say, oh, hey, we filed our case by ourselves before and we only filed a marriage certificate. Or they didn't even say that. We have to ask, like, what exactly did you file as evidence? And they said, oh, a marriage certificate. And I said, anything else? They're like, no. Like, of course, the USCIS, even if you look at their own instructions, okay, it's all available online. They have a list of documents. Now, of course, we're happy to provide you our list because, ultimately, if you want a peace of mind and you want an attorney to help you, it'd be our pleasure to assist you. But I know everyone's budget is different. And our goal here, folks, is that we want to help a lot of people, as many people as possible, to live and work in America freely, okay, with freedom, legally. So I know that we're not going to be able to help every single person. Some people are not eligible, okay, or some people have a sponsor who's a resident, and it just gets not want to say complex, but it can be a little tricky. It needs a couple extra steps completed before you file everything. So may need a waiver, for example. So just because you can file a petition by itself does not mean you're on the right track. Okay, you need to make sure that you use our proven checklist to help you. Okay. Now these emails requesting a courtesy email requesting medical exam, the results. The reason they're doing this is so that you can possibly have your adjustment interview, the green card interview, waived. Voila, waived. Okay, folks. So that'd be pretty amazing, right? We've had cases recently, as recent as last week, get waived interview and approved. Just like a month ago, or in January, we had a case that took a year and got waived. And so a client was surprised. So, but at the same time, again, I'm sharing this information because, some attorneys are talking about this, but I definitely don't want this kind of good news, great news to mislead you to think that, you know, um, just because you provide a marriage certificate and that be enough. No, it's not enough. All right. So y'all need to make sure you follow our checklist and file your case appropriately with or without a lawyer. Of course, I would tell you better to have a lawyer so you get that peace of mind. All right. We file cases as soon as 30 days based on our max plan, and it does include responding to requests for evidence. But to be honest, if you follow our checklist, then you don't need the max plan. You could select Pro Plan with us, which is the middle tier option. And if you really want it filed even sooner, then you can pay a little extra fee for that. It's separate because our Pro Plan is based on filing in 6 days. Of course, let's say you sign up with us on today, March 20th, and you give us all the documents possible in 20 days. We're not going to hold up your case. We're going to go ahead and review it, give you feedback to make sure we have all the documents necessary and file even sooner than 60 days. Okay. But if you want a guaranteed priority for 30 days, but you want a Pro Plan, middle plan, for example, there's an extra fee. So I get it. Some people don't like being charged extra fee, but hey, we're transparent. And we've heard a lot of bad stories where other people have hired a lawyer law firm, and that law firm may tell you, or you ask and they tell you, yeah, we're going to file your case timely or as soon as possible. But then you don't follow up and ask, what does as soon as possible mean? All right. What does that mean? 30, 60, 90, or 1 year from now? We've received some complaints, not about us, but about other law firms on our YouTube or all our different social media platforms. And people are saying, look, I hired a law firm a year ago and they still have not filed the case. And of course, we don't like to step on anyone's toes, but we ask, have you verified with that law firm? Ask specifically, is there a receipt notice? Because, again, I hate that you would have to hire another lawyer to do this case and get your status. But hey, we really focus on customer service. I talk about this on LinkedIn as well. So if you want to follow me, John, linkedin.com/in/John Ting. You're welcome to understand how we do kind of like a behind the scenes BTS. You can understand hashtag BTS so you can understand how we operate. Okay. So let's see here. I do see some comments. So let me go ahead and answer some of them. Okay. Okay. You had a interview 485. I'm looking at YouTube now. Interview 485 based on marriage, receive RFE for medical exam report. Okay, that's good. Does it mean they are going to approve my case once they receive it? I don't want to say most likely. I guess I could say that. Most likely, that's exactly the scenario I'm talking about. Is that yeah, that's possible. Um, but again, if I don't know for sure if they're looking at your case file. Well, most likely, if you receive the physical document of the RFE, they most likely have looked at all your other evidence, such as the marriage evidence. So, most likely, once they receive it, then they're going to at least make a decision on your case. Now, they're going to ask you for the medical exam. I would think they would just go ahead and approve it once they receive it, because if they were going to deny you, regardless of medical exam, I would hope that they actually request more documents other than the medical exam. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good indication that appears to be what you think as well. So, and that's what I think. Okay. Now, but again, if it's just based only on the, what's it called? Um, on the courtesy email, then for sure I know that they have not looked at your case file because it's been sent to some of our clients that already provide a medical exam. So I know my clients are frustrated, but again, that's still better than it being stuck. So yeah, I see that y'all are messaging back. Yeah, the medical exam is about average $400. It all depends on the clinic. I agree, and yeah, about 1 to 2 weeks return time to get that medical report. And yes, you should take a copy of your medical shots from before, even as a child, because I know some shots don't only, you only have to take it one time, okay, in your lifetime, which is great. But there's some shots you need to take at a certain time interval. So that's why they need to see it. Otherwise, if you don't have that shot record, be ready to take a bunch of shots. So, and also on this note, some people have commented and asked us about the medical waiver to waive the COVID shot or COVID vaccine, and they've been delayed. Even though the government USCIS is allowing people to file a waiver 601 for not having the COVID vaccine, okay, um, that apparently is taking a long time. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, sir. You received. Oh, you received that online. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Yeah, I would just print that. Um, I would just print that and provide it with your sealed envelope of the medical exam. But yeah, again, people, if you have a situation where you don't want, let's say you did provide a medical exam, but you decided to file a waiver to have the COVID exemption, and that's taking a long time, it is possible to file a mandamus lawsuit to get a decision on that sooner than later. But again, we will review what you filed for the waiver. We're not going to say, well, we could say tell you like, yeah, you might want to provide more evidence on that, regardless of what type of waiver, because we would hate for you to have to file a mandamus lawsuit, and it turns out you didn't really provide any evidence. And we've noticed that. Um, yeah, I was kind of sad that someone filed a waiver. It just saddens me. It's just, I don't want to call it frustrating, but it saddens me because that's why we go live every day in English and Spanish. Spanish is one of my colleagues on our team. She has a Spanish channel, Abogado Terry, and we just try to come out here and go live every day to share these kind of bits of information, because I looked at that person's package, and it had the letter that they wrote was like half a page. Look, you're gonna have to do more than that, okay? And I think that person, yeah, I don't want to make someone feel bad, but yeah, the waiver fee is about $925 if I can recall. It increased a couple years ago, uh, from 750 or something like that, 725. So it's getting more expensive, and I hate for anyone to have to pay that government fee and then not have a proper package filed. Okay. Just filing the application by itself and maybe one short letter is not going to cut it, folks. I'm sorry. And so I wouldn't want you to pay us or any other law firm a mandamus lawsuit fee if it's a pretty bad package. Okay. So that's part of what we do in terms of our mandamus department, is that we review, just like a preliminary review. We won't go like 150% deep into it unless you pay extra for that. But we can give you a cursory review and say, uh, maybe you need to provide extra updated evidence first. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, but we do on our website, folks. If you're new to our channel, welcome. We do offer free guides on our website, greencardguides.com. We do offer free 15-minute preliminary consultation. See if we can point you in the right direction. There is no obligation to hire us. It is our pleasure to help you from start to finish, or even if you received a request for evidence or NOID, notice of intent to deny. In fact, after I get off the live show here, I have a call about NOID. NOID, if you're not aware, is notice of intent to deny, and that basically means, quote unquote, USCIS is most likely going to deny you 99% of the chance. I'm just making up a number, but they did a thorough review and they think that you're not eligible, but they want to give you one more chance. Okay, that's so nice of them. That's at least one thing I like about USCIS, other than them speeding up these cases for marriage based. Okay, but that they'll send you an NOID. Some NOID that you receive notices, I don't think are appropriate. They go way, 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 way too deep into it. But and that might be because of a site visit to the home, whatnot. But there's some, it's not just marriage based. Some could be based on VAWA, U visa, and they're asking a lot of evidence. But if it's a VAWA based on the prior marriage, to make sure that was legit in the first place. So this is common theme. If you have not heard it now, is that you want to, if you get married with someone, folks, you might not be ready to file for residency or anything like that, and that's okay. But make sure that that the documents you put your life together, like financial bank account, things like that, that you join together, you share them together. It doesn't have to be every single account. USCIS is only looking for one at least, okay? But bills together, and I get it, not every bill can have utility provider will allow two names on it, but you need to start living your life together on paper also, okay? And so a lot of people that come to us, they're like, oh, shoot, John, I don't have all these documents. I got like a couple. I got some pictures, and even those pictures look like it only came from one day. So come on, folks. You might have an Android or phone. These phones these days is easy to snap a photo. Okay, easy. It is not difficult. You don't have to be, you might be camera shy. I get it. But you got to take some photos, okay? And no, don't provide more than 10 photos. If you provide so many photos and there's lack of financial evidence for marriage, that's a red flag, okay? So keep that in mind, folks. Let's see, I have a comment on YouTube. Sorry, your name's long on YouTube, so I just don't want to mess with it. But sir, it looks like you have I-94. If once you get approved, are they going to send you the green card in mail? Yes, they're going to send because it appears that you are here in the United States. They can send in the mail. Usually I know on the approval notice that it'll say somewhere in there in small font that they're going to send it within X amount of time, X amount of weeks. But generally, it's about 2 weeks time. Okay. It could take longer, of course. Look, folks, we're dealing with USCIS and the USPS, Postal Service. Two government agencies are slow, okay, in general. So even though we may say average 2 weeks, it could take longer for you. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It's just the way the government system works, okay? So it's basically, welcome to the United States, but hey, our government system is pretty freaking slow. So don't think it's going to be that fast. Now, that also reminds me, folks, for those who are, this is, the great thing here is that, we've had, because the cases are processing faster and faster, in that some of our cases are being approved without the work permit being approved or the travel permit, okay? That is wonderful, okay? Don't think that's a bad thing, because a green card, the resident card itself, allows you to work anyway and allows you to travel. So the 131 advanced parole and the temporary work permit card, who cares about that? I mean, we file it anyway, but and we include those forms anyway, those applications along with the entire package. But hey, if you get the resident card, you're ready to rock. Okay, you can start working, you can start driving. Okay, you'll get your social security number if you don't have one before from a non-immigrant visa. Okay, a work-based visa before. Folks, by the way, if for some reason you're an employer or you work for a company that's willing to sponsor you and you have thought about H-1B, or maybe you didn't know about H-1B, but you want to be registered, USCIS extended the deadline to today to 5 p.m. Eastern. So Central Time is 4 p.m. It's 12:30 Central right now. So you got less than 4 hours, folks. You can register at the USCIS.gov website. It is complicated. It should not be complicated, but the deadline was supposed to be the 17th of March, so last week. But like I said, the government is slow, and I don't know what servers they're using, at least with USCIS, but clearly something messed up on the 17th, and they just know there's been problems with a lot of attorneys and employers trying to register. So if you think you could be eligible for it, just message us as quickly as possible so we can get your team onboarded, because today, 4 p.m. Central, is the deadline. Okay, and you have to be registered to even be possibly selected in a lottery. Okay. Let's see here. So I just want to share that before I forget, because today is that deadline. And you cannot apply throughout the year like this, registration-wise, step number 1, unless you are exempt. Your employer is considered like an exempt organization. It's very limited. So it's basically a nonprofit or education related, okay, essentially. And it can be hospitals, because some hospitals are nonprofit. In fact, probably most of them, tax write-off. Okay, so anyways, to the gentleman's question on YouTube, you have a pending asylum case in immigration court. Do you need to close this case or after you receive the green card? You can file this request to motion to dismiss as soon as possible. You do not have to wait until you get the resident card in hand. So that makes me think a lot of you are in a similar situation. You do not have to wait, okay? All right, keep that in mind, because we do file a lot of requests. We call it prosecutorial discretion, get your case closed. What we do, step number 1, we have 2 steps essentially. Step number 1 is we request the government attorney to agree to it. We share all the information. We do not have to show the resident card. And if they agree, which most of them do, we haven't, knock on wood, we haven't had anyone disagree. Okay, 1, and that was because the person had multiple marriages. Okay, but the second step, once they agree, we file a motion to dismiss to the judge, to the court, and they can most likely they will dismiss it as long as the government attorney agrees. Now, do we need to do step number 1, just go straight to step 2? It is possible, but both the judge and the government lawyer work for the government, even though they're different agencies. Judges tend to prefer to stick with what the government attorney agrees with. Okay, so hopefully that helps, folks. There's always a lot more questions. Hi, Sima. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Let's see here. When will they announce? So it definitely has to be before March 31st, before the end of the month. But some years they announce a little bit earlier. So that's March 20th now. It's about 11 days from now. So it is possible to receive it earlier. Okay. What they say is as soon as people have been, filed and the registration is closed, they'll likely send it soon as possible. Okay. So it is a bit delayed because I did extend the deadline for registration until today, 4 p.m. Central. So hopefully that helps. Folks, I got to get going because I have a call to catch. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Miss Elliott, I just now see your question. 3 years is a long time. Contact us, okay? It's definitely ready for a mandamus lawsuit. Sorry, got to get on another call. All right, y'all have a good one, okay? Talk to you tomorrow.